What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to fully flush your power steering fluid the easy way. No expensive fancy tools, just a little bit of time and patience using basic supplies. I will also take you through the correct process of bleeding any air from the system as per the Toyota factory service manual, so stay tuned. All right, so when should you change out your power steering fluid? I think a good rule of thumb is to change it out every 50,000 miles or 4 to 5 years. If your fluid looks brown or dirty, or you hear a whining sound, or the level looks low as indicated on the reservoir, it is probably a good idea to flush the old fluid out and get the level set with brand new, fresh, correct fluid. Having new fluid will keep your steering system working smoothly, quietly, and extend the life of the system. Our power steering system has its own pump. So in this video, we're gonna use that to help get the old fluid out instead of purchasing, an expensive external pump. All right, let's jump into what you need to do the job. All right, guys, so here are the supplies that we'll need to do the job. So we have a large syringe here with this extension bit on it. This is gonna help us pull some of the fluid out of our reservoir when we first get started. We have a cap for our reservoir for when we disconnect the hose. We have a connector, which is gonna connect this tubing to the hose that we pull off of our reservoir. This is a 7/16 connector, a 7/16 inside diameter cap, and a 7/16 inside diameter tubing. We have a pair of pliers. We have some paper towels. That's just to prevent some of the mess under the hood. I will leave links to where you can find this stuff in the description. Some of this stuff can be a little tricky to find because it's 7/16, which isn't that popular of a size, but I managed to find all this stuff for relatively cheap. You will also want a clear bottle like this or a bucket to collect your old fluid. All right, let's talk about power steering fluid. All right, so for power steering fluid, so the manual calls for Dextron 2 or 3 as the replacement power steering fluid for a 5th generation 4Runner. Now that is a transmission fluid, there is a dye in it, there is potentially some other additives in it. I don't think our power steering system is that sensitive to which fluid we use. A lot of people actually believe that this Idemitsu fluid is the OEM fluid that actually comes with our vehicle. This stuff doesn't have any dye in it. It is designed for these Japanese vehicles. Now, this isn't exactly what Toyota says we should replace it with, but this is what I will be using today. It's totally up to you. If you want to use Dextron 3 or the Idemitsu fluid, I will leave links in the description to both and some further information, but this is what I'm going to be using. Now, the system takes about 1 quart. You might be able to get away with 1.5 quarts. I'm going to be using 2 quarts total, so 4 bottles of this Idemitsu fluid. And the reason why is because I'm flushing it. So I want a little extra fluid just to push out some of that old fluid. Some of it might kind of mix together as it's being pushed out. So just to be on the safe side, I do have 2 quarts here, and that's what I would recommend. All right, so with our hood popped, this is our power steering fluid reservoir. So we'll be working in this area today. Let's talk about this reservoir. All right, so here's our power steering reservoir, and it has 2 hoses connected to it. It has a larger one down here and a smaller one a little higher up on the side. The fluid actually gets pulled out of the reservoir through the bottom hose, goes into our power steering system, works the hydraulics, and it is actually returned through this hose on the side here. So this is the one we're actually gonna disconnect, but as you can see, our level is higher than this. So we need to pull some of this fluid out so we don't make a big mess of our engine compartment. And then we'll disconnect this return hose. We'll put it in our catch can, move the steering wheel, and that's what's gonna pump the fluid into our catch can as we kind of continuously top this up. So let's pull a little bit of fluid out, and then it will also give us a comparison. We'll look at the old fluid and the new fluid, and we'll see the difference. All right, so remove the cap on the reservoir, turn it counterclockwise, and put it off to the side. Now we'll take our large syringe with that attachment, and we'll pull out as much old fluid as we can, and we'll put it in a cup off to the side, just for reference later. All right, so I'm just gonna put some paper towel down to catch any residual power steering fluid. All right, and I've zip tied this hose just over here onto this cooler line. Just keeps it out of the way so we can work in here. All right, so we'll take our pliers and we're gonna undo this hose now. So we'll just compress this clamp, kind of wiggle it and move it down. There we go. There we go, it's off. Oop. That's why we put our paper towel down. Okay, let's get a little more under there. There we go. Really the fluid doesn't look terrible. It is dirty, but it's not horrible. All right, so we have our cap here. Let's pop our cap on the end so we don't make any more of a mess. Great, so our cap's on. So let's pop our fitting now onto this line, and we'll attach it to our clear tubing. All right, so I just cut kind of a cross in this box, and I'll just shove this bottle into that just to kind of hold it in place. There we go. Now we got a little bottle holder. All right, so we'll take our new fluid and we'll just top it up. Great, so it's filled right up to the top there. And I don't want anything getting in here, so I'm just gonna pop that on there just loosely. All right, so now we're gonna go into the vehicle. Turn your key to the on position or hit the start button twice. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn our wheel all the way to the right and then all the way to the left. And that's gonna pump the fluid through into our catch can there. Now what you can do is you can actually jack up the front of your vehicle if you want, just to get the weight off the tires. And that will make it easier for you to turn the wheel back and forth. All right, let's go outside and let's just check and make sure that our hopper isn't getting too low. And look at that nasty fluid that's coming out there. All right, so back into the vehicle, same thing, but we're gonna go all the way to the left now. And we'll top it up. All right, so our fluid is coming out a lot clearer now. I think we're just about done. All right, so here's a fun little challenge. What we're gonna attempt to do here is pop this cap off and pop this hose on here without wasting too much fluid out of this reservoir. All right, not bad. Put the plug off to the side. Let's get this in place. Make sure your glove is clean. We'll slide that on. All right, now let's move this clamp back into position. There we go. All right, let's top this fluid up again and then we'll get the air out of the system. You'll have a minimum maximum for both cold and hot conditions. My vehicle at the time was cold, so I filled it up to the max cold level. Right, so let's get the air to the system now as per the Toyota factory service manual. So we'll jack up our vehicle, we'll turn it to the on position, and we'll turn our steering wheel all the way to lock several times back and forth. Then we'll lower the vehicle, we'll start the engine, and we'll let it idle for a few minutes. After we've let it idle for a few minutes, we'll turn the steering wheel all the way to the left and all the way to the right. Once you get it all the way to the lock position, so all the way to the right or left, just hold it there for 2 to 3 seconds, and then turn it all the way to the opposite side, hold it again, once it locks for 2 to 3 seconds, and then release. You can repeat these steps several times until you get all of the air out of the system. At the end, you'll want to check for foaming or emulsification inside the hopper. If you notice air, check to make sure you don't have any leaks in your tubing and that your clamps and everything are all set tight. All right, guys, so that concludes the video. Doing a power steering flush is actually quite easy on the 4Runner. It may be a little bit messy, but it'll take you like 25 to 30 minutes tops to do this job, and you'll have brand new, fresh, good, clean fluid in your 4Runner, and it will keep your system working great for years to come. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye now.